Okay, so for B23, I have all the answers already written down for everything, so I'll just walk you guys through it. For number 1 through 4 are true, false. Number 1 is false because the domain for any sine function is all reals. So regardless of the length of the period, it's still going to be all reals. So that's false. Number 2 is true. If you change the vertical displacement, that means the vertical translation of cosecant, it's going to change the range. Because remember, cosecants look, let's just get this, have this shape. Oops. Make it like this. So if you change this up or down, it's going to change the range. So this one is true. Number 3 is also true because if you change the phase shift of tangent, you will change the domain, because tangent has vertical asymptotes. So if you translate it left or right, it's going to change the domain. And then number 4 is false because it says changing the vertical stretch. That means the A value of cotangent will change its domain, and no, it doesn't, because all vertical stretch means that it's just stretching it, vertically. It's not moving it side to side, so the domain will stay the same. So therefore, it's false. Numbers 5 through 10, they just want to analyze. So the amplitude is right here, so it's 3. The period is 2 pi over b. B is 2, so you get pi. No phase shift, it's -4 here, so it's 4 down, and no reflection. Number 6, amplitude is 4. Period is 2 pi over 1/3, so that you get 6 pi when you simplify. No phase shift because there's nothing added or subtracted to x. No vertical displacement, and there is a reflection over the x-axis. Why? Because the A is negative. Number 7, notice how here it doesn't call it an amplitude anymore. It talks about it in terms of vertical stretch or shrink. So that's your A value. So it's a stretch by a factor of 5. The phase shift is pi over 3 to the right. Why? Because this is a negative. So it's the opposite of that. So you say pi over 3 to the right. Period is 2 pi over 1. So it's just 2 pi vertical displacement, 2 up. And no reflection because the A is positive. Number 8 is, again, it's not an amplitude. It's a vertical stretch or compression or shrinking. So here it's a stretch because the factor is 7. Phase shift, this a positive right here, tells you that you're going to go left, pi over 4. Period, 2 pi over 4, because the 4 is right here, it's coefficient of x. So that reduces to pi over 2. And then -1 means it's going to go 1 down, no reflection, because A is positive. Number 9, this is a 4, so it's a stretch by a factor of 4. No phase shift. The period is 2 pi over 2/3, because that's what this number is right here, the B value. So then when you simplify, you get 3 pi over 2. And it goes 6 units up, and no reflection. Number 10, it has an A value of 1/2, so it's a shrink, vertical shrink by a factor of 1/2. No phase shift, because there's nothing added or subtracted to x. Period is pi, because B is 1. Vertical displacement is 1 up, and there is a reflection over the y-axis. Why? Because the x is negative. In 11 to 16, you have to fill in the table. So, again, just the cosine function, because that's what it says here. The A value is 2, so it's a vertical stretch by 2. Because this is positive 3 pi over 2, that means 3 pi over 2 to the left, and this 4 is 4 up. For number 12, you have to write an equation. So they tell you that it's a sine function with an a value of 5, so that's why you have 5 sine. The period is 2 pi over b over 3, so that, remember, this equals 2 pi over b. Well, since the numerators are equal to each other, then we know that b has to equal 3, and that's why you see the 3 right here for b. There is no phase shift, so there's nothing added or subtracted to x. And vertical displacement is up 2. So notice up 2, it's not, the 2 is not part of the 3x, it's separate. Number 13 is a tangent. The A is 15, so it's a vertical stretch. The B is 1/4, so it's 4 pi over 1/4, because remember for tangent the period is pi, not 2 pi. So it's pi over 1/4 equals 4 pi. So that's the period, 4 pi. This x minus pi over 2 means that it goes pi over 2 to the right, and then the displacement vertical is -10 down. Number 14, it's SEC, so it's secant. The A value is 1/3. That's given. No phase shift, no vertical translation. The next one is cosecant, so here's the function. The A value is 5. The period is 2 pi over 1, so it's 2 pi. It goes, since it's plus pi over 6, it's pi over 6 to the left. And this positive 1 tells you it goes 1 up. Okay, so the last one on this side is cotangent. So there's COT. When it says that it has no vertical stretch or compression, that means that A is 1. So that's why there's nothing there. The period is 3 pi, so we set it up to pi over B. Cross multiply, and you get B is 1/3. To the right, pi over 8, so you put minus pi over 8. And I did not go through and distribute it, but you could if you want. I'm just leaving it like this for now. Alright, so for 17 through 22, you're going to be graphing the functions. So answer first the analysis. So the amplitude is 1. Phase shift is pi over 2 to the right because it says minus right here. No reflections. The period is 2 pi, and it's 1 unit up. Okay, because of this plus 1. So notice in yellow I drew the 1 unit up horizontal asymptote, and then pi over 2 to the right. So right here there's a yellow line. So this is like my initial origin right here. Now it's a sine, so it has zeros at beginning, middle, middle, and end. So this here is 1 period from here to here. Maximum is 1/4 of the way, and it's 1 unit from the, so like this is 1 unit high, and this is 1 unit high because this would be the minimum. So here's 1 period. So that's a half a period, and that's another half a period. So you have 2 full periods right here. Number 18, the A value, the amplitude is 1/2. No reflection. Period is 2 pi because it's 2 pi over 1. And then it goes to the left, pi over just pi, and no vertical displacement. So here's the yellow line, the vertical asymptote at pi, negative pi. It's a cosine function, so this one has the zeros at 1/4, 3/4 of the way, and the maximum at the beginning and the end, and the middle has the negative, the minimum. And so you connect the points. That's 1 period, and here's a piece of another period right here. Okay, number 19, the amplitude is 3, no reflection, no phase shift. Period is 2 pi over 2 because that's a 2 right there. So that gives you pi, no vertical displacement. So a period is from here, from the y-axis to the next yellow line. That's 1 period. Here's another period. Here's another period, and here's another period. So we've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 periods. Okay, and the amplitude is 3, that's why you have the point all the way up to here, 3. And there's the beginning, the middle, the end. So beginning, middle, end, maximum, minimum, and then connect the points. And then as much as you can. So we were able to do it 4 times. Number 20, you have a cosecant graph. So it has no vertical stretch or shrinking because the A value is 1. Because it's -1, there's a reflection over the x-axis. Period is 2 pi, no phase shift, but it does have vertical translation. Excuse me. So here is the vertical translation 1 unit up. Here is in a dot, it's a sine graph with a reflection. So here's 1 period of sine, with of negative sign. Here's the next period. Wherever you see zeros, you graph the asymptotes. Here, 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 and here. And then draw the curve. In this case, this is the negative sine curve. I'm sorry, cosecant curve. But because we have to graph sine, that's why we draw the sine curve here. And then wherever there's a maximum, that's your u going up. Wherever there's a minimum, there's your u going down. That's it. And then we have 21. The amplitude is 1, no reflection. Period is 2 pi over 2, because this is a 2 right here, a b. And so you get pi, and then this minus 2 is this one right here. So here's the vertical translation 2 units down. It's a cosine graph, so here's the beginning and the end is the maximum. The middle is the minimum, and the zeros are 1/4, 3/4. So this is 1 period. Okay. Number 22, tangent. Because A is 1, there's no vertical translation. Nothing added to the x over here, there's no phase shift. The negative in front of tangent tells you there's going to be a reflection over the x-axis. And the period is pi over 1 over b. In this case, b is 1/2. So pi over 1/2 is 2 pi. No phase shift, and vertical displacement, none. Okay, so you can just put none. Okay, so then I went ahead and I drew the asymptotes, because this is a tangent graph, so half period on one side and half on the other of the y-axis. So this is at pi and negative pi. So there's a pair of asymptotes, and then 2 pi later you draw the third asymptote. The zeros are in the middle of the period. For cosine, the positive a value is 1/4 of the period, which would be here, but there's a reflection over the x-axis, so this point becomes this point, and this point becomes this point. Then we connect. There's 1 period and another period.